Why is the United States the host nation for this summit?
Yeah. Well, I think the only people who want to talk to Putin solo is President Trump. And it's on U.S. soil, and where it's on U.S. soil, because Putin can't go a lot of places. The ICC has declared him a war criminal, and we don't belong to the ICC, so he's welcome here, and he's not going over other countries to get to the United States. Remember, Sarah Palin once said she could see Russia from Alaska. Just pointing that out. But more seriously, in 1994,
not the first to say that today.
Yeah, I thought I'd throw it in. In 1994, Ukraine, the government of Ukraine, gave up its nuclear weapons in exchange for an agreement to respect its sovereignty. Who was one of the parties to that agreement? His name is Vladimir Putin. He has violated every agreement he's made with Ukraine since. And so I don't think this is a guy coming into this meeting that I would put a lot of trust in. Plus, President Trump just said he'll know in the first 2 minutes whether there's something serious here. Putin has already said what he wants is basic victory, and his people think he's won. I mean, let's understand that the cutbacks in Voice of America and Radio Free Europe and all of those things have eliminated a huge source of information into Russia. So, Putin's coming into this feeling great. Where it goes, I think is nowhere. I don't see how Trump can.
The president described this.
Yeah, excuse me.
Sorry, Jane. The president described this as a feeling out kind of meeting, as opposed to something with, preconditions, with an agreement in place, with an agenda. And you know what the conventional wisdom here is, that this is already a win for Putin. The fact that he's got an invite to the USA to sit down with the American president, the optics behind all of that, is that just the cost of brokering peace?
I'm in total agreement with you. That's what I basically just said. I don't think this is the cost of brokering peace. I think this is the cost of being played again by Vladimir Putin. I mean, it is totally clear that the rest of the world thinks, and certainly I do, and I hope you do, that Russia was the aggressor here. Ukraine was there. I mean, starting in 2014, there's been Russian meddling, and the Donbass was interfering with the fair and free election in that year. I was an election observer with Madeleine Albright back then. But 11 years later, I mean, there's hot war, and it's been going on for almost 3 years, and nothing has come out of it except misery. And there's no way that Putin is going to get what he's asking for. There's no way Trump can give it to him. And Trump already knows what it is. So the much better approach to this would have been to talk to the victim here, Ukraine, and find out what their terms are, and then maybe bring Putin into the room and see how to settle it out. But there cannot be, given the history with Russia, any agreement that doesn't have some kind of a force along the border, the agreed to border, if there's a new border between Ukraine and Russia. It won't work because Putin will violate it again.
Well, I don't know what you make of this talk. In fact, I'm pretty sure I do know what you make of this talk of land swaps. It's unclear exactly what form that would take, Jane, but there is another plan. President Zelensky will not be at the table, it seems, on Friday, nor will any of our European allies, who, of course, have a lot to lose or gain, depending on the outcome here. An alternative plan was brought forth over the weekend from our European allies, with a joint statement that came from Emmanuel Macron, the Chancellor of Germany, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and others. A diplomatic end, it said, to this war must protect Ukraine and Europe's security interests. They're not going to buy what we're talking about here in terms of freezing the lines in place now. What are your European contacts telling you about this?
Well, protecting Europe requires making sure that Putin has no room to violate any agreement that Ukraine chooses to make. Let's understand, Ukraine has to make this agreement, not me, not you, and not Donald Trump. Ukraine has valiantly fought this war and is the country that's the victim. And if Putin gets away with this, he goes right into Europe. So Europe has equities too. That's why I'm saying that any agreement on borders, let's imagine existing pre-war borders, still will require some kind of a force along that border to make sure that Putin doesn't violate it. Welcoming Ukraine to NATO seems a non-starter at the moment. but a NATO force along that border sounds like a good idea to me, or certainly NATO countries along that border sounds like a good idea to me if there's going to be an agreement. And this war should stop. I mean, somebody was quipping that Trump's foreign policy is hates war, loves gold. Now, that's pretty funny, but he hates war. So, okay, he gets a win if this thing is done correctly. He's not going to get a win tomorrow. The guy who's going to get the win tomorrow is Vladimir Putin. Friday is Vladimir Putin.
I just wonder realistically what you see here for potential outcomes, including what the president said in that remark we played for you. He said, hey, good luck. We're pulling away from the table, even though we said we would end this in the first 24 hours. You've got a president at the negotiating table who's angling for a Nobel Peace Prize. Is it possible at this stage for President Zelensky to keep the Donbass and Crimea part of his country?
Well, let's let him decide that with help from most of us who think he has fought valiantly to protect his sovereignty. Let's see. I'm not saying the Donbass is gone. I mean, it is. The Donbass has been interfered with for 11 years by Russia, but still there was a fair and free election in 2014. I don't think it's gone. I don't think Crimea is gone. I think that Vladimir Putin is playing a weak hand brilliantly, and his people think he's won. And President Trump is playing right into that hand by saying, I'll know in the first 2 minutes what to do. This doesn't sound to me like any kind of effective diplomacy.
You think we get a bilateral news conference when it's done, or we have to figure out what happened in that meeting?
Well, we had one, a few years ago where he questioned the value of U.S. intelligence and said Russian intelligence was better. I'm saying that I don't see a win for President Trump in this meeting. And I see another distraction from other things that aren't working so well yet, like Israel and Gaza. I strongly disagree with President Netanyahu's strategy here. I think there are much better options, and President Trump could be much more helpful there. And guess what? There might be a Nobel Prize at the end of that one if it works out well. But I don't see it here. And one more funny thing, where is the Nobel Prize? It's in Northern Europe. These are people who were being dissed by President Trump Friday when he meets with President Putin and shuts out Europe and Ukraine.